REOBRIX Technology, Lego Speed Champions, or keep my specialty? Which of these three brands created the best version of the legendary DeLorean time machine from Back to the Future? In this video, I'm building all three sets and taking a closer look at each one. The DeLorean from the REOBRIX set has the simplest design out of all three models. It can be built using standard Lego-style pieces and includes two transformation modes. The design itself is simple. There are no minifigures included, and the detailing feels more like a fan-made replica of the original car, or even a stunt car from the movie. That's really all I can say about this set, although I honestly expected a little more. The DeLorean from Lego is the most popular set and probably one that many people already own. I'd say this is one of the best Lego sets ever released, with great attention to detail, a detailed Mr. Fusion unit, detailed wheel design, and a highly detailed interior, with careful attention given to the dashboard and other important movie elements. The set also includes space for two minifigures, which are included in the box, along with transformation options based on the first two Back to the Future movies. Then there's the DeLorean from Keep My Specialty, a lesser-known Chinese brand that genuinely surprised me with its detailing and engineering solutions. A detailed hood box, the brand's logo replacing the original one, decent time machine detailing, a custom exhaust with a fun flame effect, an unusual choice, but it actually looks pretty cool. The interior detailing is average, and most importantly, something the other two models don't have: opening doors. That's amazing. It's a great approach from a lesser-known brand. Make sure to watch the video until the end, and let me know which one you like the most. So I'll start the first build with the REOBRIX set, which was released at the end of 2025. It's a decent set with clear instructions and a building process that feels logical and flows naturally from start to finish. I bought this set almost immediately after release, but I didn't build it right away because I wanted to wait for the Lego version and compare the two afterward. Since this was the first one released, I decided to build it first, and that turned out to be the right decision. The build goes together very quickly. The part quality and connections are good, and I didn't run into any issues during assembly. However, some attachment points definitely need more attention and refinement, because certain connections are extremely weak and can fall off just from touching them. Something you probably noticed at the beginning of the video when I first showed the model. And it happens every time those specific pieces get bumped. The main frame and the car itself are actually very solid. The weak areas are mostly certain body pieces and some of the time machine components. There are no new or unique parts included in the set. It uses familiar standard Lego-style elements that most people already know, and with those pieces, it generally captures the shape and design of the DeLorean and the time machine from all three Back to the Future movies. But the detailing of individual vehicle elements and time machine systems isn't particularly impressive. The interior is also very basic and missing some important details from movies. The set includes a small sticker sheet, including the hood box sticker from the third movie. Personally, I didn't like that sticker at all, so I didn't even apply it. You can already see on a box art how awkward it looks in 2026. I also didn't like the futuristic flying version from the scene set in the futuristic 2015 timeline because of the way the wheels are attached. It looks too bulky and slightly out of proportion compared to the movie version. So after building this set, and later comparing it to the other two, I ended up with mixed feelings. I consider this the simplest version, almost like someone's custom build with an average design level and several inaccuracies compared to the movie car. It feels more like a fan-made replica of the original car, or maybe one of those stunt vehicles used in fast action scenes, with poor lighting where small details aren't very important. If you removed all the time machine components and turn it into a regular DeLorean, it would actually make a decent model. But I'm not going to do that. I'll leave it exactly as it is. Whether you buy this set or not is completely up to you. Personally, I wouldn't buy it again, and eventually this car might even become a donor's set for one of my future projects. Another issue is that the set doesn't include any display stand for the flying transformation mode. So if you want to display it in your collection in flying mode, you'll need to buy a stand separately or build one yourself using parts that aren't included in the set. I solved that problem temporarily by borrowing a stand from my Agent 007 car from the Back to the Future collection by Power Build. So, after spending some time with this REOBRIX DeLorean, I can say that my first impression was actually pretty good. But the more I look at it, the more I start noticing small compromises and missed details. At first glance, it definitely looks like the Back to the Future time machine. And if you place it on a shelf from a distance, most people would probably recognize it instantly. But once you start paying attention to the proportions, accuracy, interior details, and some of the weaker design choices, it becomes obvious that this set feels more focused on releasing something quickly rather than creating the most accurate version possible. And I honestly can't understand why they made that choice. REOBRIX was the first company to release their version, and when you're first to market, you don't really know what competitors are going to do afterward. But knowing that LEGO would release a similar set just a few months later, I think they probably should have pushed harder with the design and tried to surpass LEGO, or at least create something on the same level. The LEGO Speed Champions set released in early 2026 comes in the usual stylish box, and inside are colorful, engaging instructions for building this time machine. Like many LEGO sets, it also includes a small sticker sheet, only 7 stickers this time. It's nice to see the number of stickers decreasing, although I still think they could have been replaced with high-quality printed parts. As with most LEGO sets, this one traditionally includes minifigures. Actually 2 of them, Doc Brown and Marty McFly. Each figure has 2 facial expressions that you can swap depending on the mood, along with outfits inspired by the movie. Among the unique parts in this set are 2 flexible power cables made from some type of rubber. There are also many transparent blue printed elements, which definitely get a thumbs up from me. That's a huge plus for realism and the clean overall appearance of the model. The headlights are also printed in a really interesting and realistic way on transparent elements. And the flux capacitor looks great too. The time circuit display is printed. There are 2 versions of the license plates, a remote control, and much more. And what do you think about this Mr. Fusion? I honestly love it. I also really like the transparent windshield piece where the roof section is painted, and another detail I really liked is the printed wheel design on the Formula One style slick tires. Well, I bought this set immediately after release along with the Ferrari SF90. At first, I decided to build the Ferrari and then come back to these two DeLorean time machine sets that I had at the time. But after finishing the Ferrari, I was already excited to start building these and compare REOBRIX with Lego. At that time, there were already a lot of videos about the Lego set, and reviews from buyers and fans were overwhelmingly positive. Just like me, many people were saying that this was one of the best Lego sets in the brand's history. But on the day I had planned to build it, I randomly saw an Instagram ad for the DeLorean from Keep My Specialty and immediately bought it. That ended up delaying the creation of this video a bit. I'm probably one of the last people releasing a review and build of this set. But I'm definitely one of the first, maybe even the first, to compare all three versions of this time machine. And I want to say that this LEGO Speed Champion set really is one of the best LEGO sets ever made. The model design is very well executed. It looks proportional and instantly recognizable, almost like John DeLorean himself shrunk the car down, and Doc Brown somehow used scientific magic to split it into Lego pieces and sell it to Lego. But Lego is still being Lego. They still can't completely walk away from stickers. Sure, they reduced the number down to just 7 in this set, but I still believe even those could have been replaced with high-quality printed pieces. Maybe that would have cost too much for one of the biggest building brands in the world, or maybe only they know the real reason and we're left guessing. Lego also still can't fully move away from exposed pins and switch entirely to smooth parts that create a clean, seamless body surface. A few of those pins are still sticking out, and they immediately catch your eye. It's probably time to make the designs cleaner and smoother in 2026. But what I absolutely loved was the detailed interior, with the detailed time circuits, flux capacitor, and many other carefully designed time machine elements. I was also genuinely surprised when I saw the Mr. Fusion unit, the two minifigures, and the transparent blue printed elements. This model has two transformation options. You can build it in the style of the first movie with regular wheels and the plutonium storage unit, or with a large pole and hook they used to connect to the cable back in 1955. And for those who prefer the Back to the Future Part 2 version, you can build it with Mr. Fusion and the flying wheel setup, which, by the way, looks incredibly proportional and natural on this model. Personally, I like the car of second part version with Mr. Fusion, but kept the traditional wheels, so that's exactly how this model will stay in my collection. After finishing the build and placing the model on the table, I immediately started comparing it with the REOBRIX version that I built earlier. And the difference becomes obvious almost instantly. The first thing I noticed was the overall proportions. The Lego model simply feels more accurate. The roof line, the windshield angle, the front end, and even the rear section with all of the time machine equipment look more balanced. The second thing is the amount of details packed into this scale. At first glance, both cars may look similar from a distance, but once you move closer, Lego starts showing where the extra effort went. Lego feels like an official movie replica that was carefully reduced into Speed Champion scale. This set completely exceeded my expectations. At the time I built it, I got a lot of positive emotions from it, and honestly thought this was the ultimate version of the Back to the Future time machine, and that nothing else could surprise me more. But I was wrong. I was wrong, right up until I built the third alternative set. That third set came from the lesser-known Chinese brand, Keep My Specialty. The box is noticeably larger than the others, and the instructions are almost the size of a small catalog, but they're logical and easy to follow. Inside the set, I found some unique parts, a license plate with the set ID, printed dashboards, and the brand logo on the front grille. It's also the only set that actually includes a stand for the flying version. For the other two, I had to temporarily borrow stands from my Power build models from the Back to the Future collection. The first stages of the build felt pretty standard. Building the frame and the lower sections of the model felt a little ordinary and even slightly boring, just like most sets. But then I started noticing similarities with the first two models. All three sets begin with the chassis, and then step by step you build the rear section, the time machine components, the interior, and finally the front end. But along with those similarities, I also noticed something different, a completely different engineering approach that occasionally surprised me. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw these exhaust pipes with bright flames coming out of them. Sure, you can leave the flames off and make the car look cleaner and more serious. But this is Doc Brown's crazy time machine. The madness belongs on this model. It looks funny, over the top, and perfectly chaotic. At first, I thought the flame and exhaust mounting system looked pretty weak, but I was genuinely surprised because by the end of the build, I had accidentally touched it hundreds of times, and it never fell off once. The next big surprise came around halfway through the build when I assembled the opening gull-wing doors. LEGO doesn't have that, but some lesser-known brand from China actually did it. They didn't simply replace everything with stickers. The time machine detailing isn't quite as strong as LEGO's, and I still have some questions about the overall car design itself. But they made the doors opening. I honestly didn't expect this set to be this good. I only decided to build it last because it came out around February 2026. And it ended up being pretty funny that this smaller brand, while clearly taking inspiration from LEGO, created such a surprisingly high-quality product. And while building it, I actually found myself asking, which one is better, LEGO or Keep My Specialty? During the interior assembly, I realized the detailing definitely wasn't at LEGO's level, but they tried to achieve a lot using standard pieces. With this approach, you have to use your imagination and understand what certain elements are supposed to represent. And even though the interior looks weaker than LEGO's version, I still give it a thumbs up because after the build is finished, I rarely look inside the car anyway. Those interior details mainly create excitement during the building process itself. The next unusual design decision was assembling the entire front section separately and attaching it later to the main body of the car. And this separate front section turned out surprisingly strong. Because of its unique mounting method, it creates a slight aerodynamic angle for the hood, which matches the original DeLorean. That angle creates a few small gaps, but honestly, those are much less noticeable than LEGO's exposed pins. Overall, The design feels clean and smooth without obvious pins sticking out. This model has 3 transformation options. You can build the first movie version with regular wheels and plutonium storage, or with a large pole and hook used in 1955 to connect to the cable. And for fans of Back to the Future Part 2, there's also the Mr. Fusion version with flying wheels. They may not be quite as good as the Lego version, but they look much more proportional and fit this model better than the REOBRIX version. The set also includes a special group of pieces for building the hood box from Part 3 and attaching it to the hood. And that's exactly how I decided to display the model in my collection. All 3 transformation modes were shown on the box, but honestly, I didn't expect them to look this good. The only things missing are railroad wheels and white wall tires, the same ones Marty used when he traveled to 1885. And after finishing the build, I put all 3 DeLoreans side by side on the table and just stared at them for a while, because something strange happened at that moment. Before starting this comparison, I thought I already knew exactly how this video would end. I was almost sure Lego would easily win. I expected REOBRIX to take 3rd place, Lego to dominate, and this Keep My Specialty set to become just another alternative version that people would forget after a few months. But that didn't happen, because while building this model, I constantly found myself saying, wait, that's actually clever. Then a few minutes later, hold on, they actually did that? And later, why didn't Lego do this? That started happening more and more often throughout the build. I think what surprised me the most wasn't even the opening doors or the transformation options. It was the fact that this small and almost unknown company wasn't simply copying Lego. They weren't trying to make a cheaper clone. They were actually trying to improve certain things and solve problems differently. And that made this set much more interesting than I expected. Because when a company simply copies another design, there isn't much to talk about. But when you see completely different engineering solutions, unusual connections, different ways of shaping the body, different approaches to details and transformations, suddenly you become curious. You stop building just to finish the model. You start building because you genuinely want to see what happens next. Now, if I had to rank these 3 models, REOBRIX would definitely take 3rd place. That one is obvious, and I don't think I even need to explain why. But I still couldn't decide between 1st and 2nd place, so I decided to simply highlight the strengths of each set. As for the Lego set, its biggest advantages are without question. The time machine detailing, the large number of printed elements, the 2 minifigures, the interior detailing, and the design of the car with the traditional wheels from the 2nd movie. And for the Keep My Specialty set, opening doors, 3 transformation options, the fun exhaust pipes, the design of the flying time machine on its display stand, and respect for creating so many elements of the machine using standard Lego style parts. So what do you think about these 3 sets, and which one is your favorite? Write your opinion in the comments. I genuinely love to hear what everyone thinks.